Hi everyone, welcome again. My name is Hayo and I'm with these guys, Stringify. Alright, today we'll be looking at something very interesting, right? I believe some of us in the Microsoft Power Platform ecosystem and the Dynamics ecosystem, we build applications, model driven applications, or some of us work with the Microsoft Dynamics customer engagement platforms, and we deal with the customer service, sales, field service, and all of that. Yeah. But there are times where you want to perform some sort of logics, validations, automations, right? That are beyond what the business rule can do for you. In business rule, I'm sure we know that you are limited to writing rules for a specific entity or table, right? What about you need to perform some of those activities, table validations, showing values, hiding values, and this activity is going to be happening between multiple tables or different columns. How can you do that? That is how we do. That is why we write things like client scriptings to be able to perform activities like that. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can write a very simple client script, all right, to show a particular field, or to show a particular tab on a form, right? Don't forget that forms are how we build our model driven application. So how can you use client script in JavaScript to do that? So I'll show you the idea on how to do that, how to write your constructions, your codes to get that done in this tutorial. So follow me through in this tutorial as we learn how to do this. All right.
Welcome. All right, so we're looking at how you can use scriptings, Java scriptings, and all of that to manipulate Power Platform, your forms. We understand that you have business rules, and if you look at it, there's a limitation that in business rule you are able to look into a single table or a single entity when you're creating business rules. But with scriptings like JavaScript and all of that, you are able to perform similar activities you can do with business rule, showing, hiding tabs, passing values, and all of that. But you are able to do that with multiple entities or table instances, and that's what we're looking at here. All right, so you see I have my Visual Studio Code open right now, and I have a folder that I've created here. All right, this is the folder. Now I'm just going to create a JavaScript file. Let's just call the file, let's give it a name, say project function file, something like that. Yeah, let's just do that. Project function .js. All right, good. So we have this right now. So what do we want to do is currently we have this project tracking. All right, and you can see this is the model driven project here. All right, now very simple project anyway. So the idea is, let's see how we can use this. Is a table, project table, which is brought in here as a tab. All right, and then this is another table, project. So the idea is, and then this is a column looking up into another table. So the idea is, how can we write scripting that could perform some kind of connection between this and this table, and this table in this case, right? And we're able to manipulate the form with that kind of script in this case, and that's what we're trying to achieve with this. Okay, so let's go back to so the idea would be that if there's probably data here, this tab should show. If there's no data here, this tab should go away, something like that. Don't forget, even though this is a subgrid, all right, added on this tab, and then this is a code, a field added on this form here. So let's see how we can write some little scripts just to evaluate this in this case. Go back to Visual Studio here. All right, we'll go back to Visual Studio. All right, good. Now on the Visual Studio, now there are standard models of writing of this scripts. In fact, when you're working with Power Platform, there are very standard process. Okay, one of the first thing you want to do is do your namespace definition, right? You want to do your namespace definition in this case. So the idea is to give some sort of call method or call function to whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So I will do if say type of in this case, let's say project if type of, okay, just a moment, okay, let's call our namespace, what can I call it now? Okay, my environment is Stringify, so I can do Stringify project, something like that, Stringify project, and then let's do it's set to undefined, definitely. All right, in this case, so let's set a variable out here for the namespace, so to say, for the namespace. All right, and I'll just call the same Stringify project. All right, then the namespace. All right, namespace. All right, set to true. Okay, good. So set this namespace here in this case, so for the environment. Now I'm going to just copy this and then create another namespace that will be for the script that I'm about to write, and map it to this particular element. So in this case, I'll have it as what? Stringify project dot scripts. Just to indicate I'm doing a script, and I'll just call it off here also, dot script. All right, good. Now, okay, so we already declared the variable above, and then we're mapping the script to it. So we'll just remove that variable declaration, and then the next thing is we want to bring in the namespace here. The namespace, in this case, Stringify project dot script, definitely, which is what we're working on. Then the script, then we can now bring in the so to say, maybe activities we're trying to achieve, we're trying to perform here. We're working on our project table, right? So we'll say and that will be, the function will be done on the form of the project. So we can call it project form. Can just call it project form in this case. All right, and then we'll need to close that element out. So we'll do our namespace, and then we set that to true in this case, right? Now, so what we've just simply done here is set up a namespace for the activity that we're trying to achieve in this case. Now, to go further, for Power Platform to be able to read and understand all of these elements we're writing, we need to create some sort of event system. So if I take us back to the Power Platform, you would see that on our form, if you go back to our form, this is our form screen here. All right, let's increase it a bit. You will see that we have what we call events. You see, event. So all of these events are listening events. They need to listen for some sort of element in this case, right? So on our code now, we need to now declare and set up those event handlers that Power Platform will be listening to as the case may be. So how do we do that? So you just come back into your method. So we have a method here now. In our method here, we will now declare the event. So for example, I can have, when the system loads, maybe there are specific activities that want to happen, or when I make a change in this case. So look at what we're trying to achieve is when data exists somewhere and when data does not exist somewhere, something should hide and something should populate, right? In this case. So we will have to do let's do two different event systems. Let's do on load, let's do on change, and let's see how they work. So I'll just do undo on load. All right, so we can just call it handle on load. Now these are system oriented event handlers that the Power Platform fully understands. Okay, and we'll call the function out. All right, so there's this element called execution context. All right, it's It's a Power Platform understand a Dataverse form on the kind of concept that is well understood. So we'll bring that in. Execution context. Okay, good. And then inside that, we can then write or output whatever element we're trying to achieve on the long run. So for example, let's just run a console log to just see what we're doing. So console.log, and let's do maybe the output I'm looking for is let me say when the system loads, on load, then do something like project form loads correctly, something like that in this case. So we can do that. Now that's one event. We can have another event, right? We can have another event. Let's call it, say, undo on change, something like that. So when I change, so when there's a system change or something like that, that can be for the next thing. Okay, let's say undo on change. Let me say, in our case, let's say on change customer. I think that was customer that I showed us earlier. So let's do undo on change customer, and we'll put in the function. So execution context, bring it in, and then let's run some sort of output also for it. Okay, good. So let's do console.log. all right. In this case, let's just call it let me see, I can do the same thing on change, and we say project form changed correctly, something like that. All right, and then let's close that. All right, good. So we've passed in an on change and then an unload system, right? Now we can test this. Let's even test what we've done. At least this, before we start writing our function and our API to really get some real activity done. Let's just check this out and let's see whether the system is going to understand what we've done so far here. So I'm just going to save all. Everybody, you can just save all. And then once you've done that, how do you bring this into Power Platform, right? In this case, so we'll navigate back to the Power Platform, and then you want to go to the specific solution you are working in here. I'm working in the project tracking solution. So what I would do here is simple, very straightforward. First thing first, everybody, you need to bring in that resource into your solution. So when you are in your solution, you want to go to your solution and do new, all right, and then look for web resource. So on the web resource, you might want to give it just give it any name. I can call it a project form script. That's fine. Project form script, all right, and then pass the same name here if I want. Project, form script, good. And then it's asking me for which type, so definitely it's a JavaScript in this case. And I'm going to select my file, so I can easily go to where I have the file on my local machine. All right, just going to hold on. Let me just. All right, good. So I'm just going to open up the file. Where's the file? Good. All right, so you can see the file here. I have the file here, so I can open up the file, and that's the project function that we're writing. So I will select it. It's a JavaScript file, and then I'll open it. So you can see it here now, and then I can save. So now I'm bringing in that project function file, JavaScript file, into my Power Platform solution in this case, right? So you see that now we have a web resource here. In this, where is it now? See the web resource that we have here now. So we have the web resource here, right? Cool. Now, once you've added it to your solution, now you now need to go and make that available. Let me publish a customization. You need to make that available on the form where you want that activities happening, those events, those unload and those on change events in this case. So once this is done, publishing, we'll now go into the form and bring them in as event on the form in this case. Okay. All right, good. Now, so let's now go into the form here, into the project form. I have it opened. So we'll go to the form. This is the form now. So we want to do two things. When the form loads and when something changes on the form, right? Then we want those scripts to execute. So on form load, I'm going to select the entire form itself. All right, let's just go to select the entire form, and I'll go to events and I'll do add library. Okay, add library. So once I do that, I can easily pick my own script. Just bring in my publisher here, and I'll use my publisher to search for my library. So you can see my script. So I'm going to select my script and add my script. So you can see that immediately I added my script, because when you load the form, is either you are saving the entire form or you are loading an information. So under the onload, I will add the event handler. You can see this is my script, and then you can see pass execution context as first parameter. So that means it executes that particular function in this case. Then for this function, how do I get this function in? Straightforward. So what you want to do first is on the code, you need to pass in this method. See this method here? You bring in this method. Everybody, I'll copy that method. All right, and I'm going to go back to here, bring in the method, drop the method in. You're following this? So once you drop that method in here, you now bring the method and map it to the undo onload. You see, undo onload. So what am I doing here? What I'm doing here is this. So when it's going to run this particular method and then pick this element, because this is the onload that is going to run on that specific method in this case. Cool. So that's what we've done here. So once you do that, you need to check the box here so that it runs that script as expected. So you can see everything is clean, and then we can click on done, and then that's the event handler that I've passed in on this particular element. Now the same way I want to do for the unchange. For the unchange, we are doing it on the customer here, on this customer here. So I'll go to event and you can see unchange, and I'll do exactly the same thing, pass in that element, all right, and do the undo on change. I think it's customer, right? On change customer. Cool. So let's check that out in our code. Undo on change customer. All right, good. And I'll check the box, and then I'll click on done. So I've been able to pass in those two handlers right now on my form, right, in this case. So I'm just going to save and publish my form, and then we'll go test. So we'll just test outrightly on the application and be sure that what we've done is effected. I'm just going to publish. What we've done is fully effected on the application side of things. All right. So let me publish that, and then I'll publish our customizations, and then we'll go and test. All right. So it's done publishing customizations. Fantastic. Now let's go into our app. So now we are back on our app, right? So which means we have done two things, on load and on change. So when we load this project application, we should be able to see that output. Don't forget the output we're looking for now would be this output. So when we run this on the onload, we should see this onload, this word output. And when we do only on change, we should see this also outputted for us in this case, right? This displayed. So let's go back to our application. I'm just going to use inspect element for now. So we use our developers tool to get out the required response. Okay, I'm just going to clear all of this. All right. And so what I want to do is when I refresh this page and this form loads, we should see that response come up. This onload project form loads correctly. We should see it come up. Okay, so let's do a refresh on this page. And good. Now don't worry about all of this DevTools error. Don't worry. But you can see now. Can you see this? Onload project form tools correctly. So we see that script works. This is our response. All right, let's do for the unchange, right? So if I remove, we say unchange. Unchange means when I change the value. So if I remove this, let's see what happens. I remove this. Can you see? Unchange project form changed correctly. If I decide to go back and add that element back, you see the count increased to 2. If I remove it, the count increased to 3. So you can see that it's recording that the script is perfectly working for our forms. Don't forget what I said. This is a different entity, and you can see that a single script is working for both systems, right? Cool. Now we'll now go and write a very simple function. And this is where you can be very flexible with your functions. I've shown you how to connect your entities together, right? I will now write a very simple function to say, okay, if I bring in data here, this tab should show. If I remove data, this tab should disappear, something like that. Yeah, to see how JavaScript can now be used to modify the Power Platform model-driven app forms. All right, interesting. All right, so let's go back to our code and let's write some interesting functions. Good. All right, so now to do that, we are going to have to create a method, like a method to host our API, so to say, a simple function in this case. So I'm just going to call this simple one. Let's call it maybe, since we want to work on our customer distance, so let's call it undo customer settings, something like that. Yeah, so since the idea is to make this effect on our customer field, so let's say undo customer setting. All right, and then we'll bring in the function. Don't forget, so we're still going to call it execution context because we're working on the form. Yeah, execution context. All right, and then after that we'll bring in the function itself to the function that we're going. So this element now is where inside here is where we now write all the functions, your conditions and whatever it is you want to do here. So the first thing you want to do first is to get the form. In this case, don't forget, we need to get the form. This is Power Platform, right? So we need to bring in the Power Platform form that we're trying to effect this specific change on in this case. So let's get the form, everybody. So to get the form, what you want to do is we'll declare a variable. Let's do that. Let's call it form context. Okay, and then this form context variable will now pull it. We'll pull it with our execution context in this case to say, you know what, sync with the execution context and return the form context. So get form say context. I think we can do that, and then we can easily end that variable line. All right, and then the next thing is we declare a variable to return our the unique name. The unique name of our specific table here, which is the customer table. So we can just call the unique name, let me say let me look for what we can use. Okay, let's say project customer. Yeah, something like that. And then we'll map it to the form context, and then we'll return the attributes. All right, so let's return the attribute, and then we need to now put the unique name. So to get the unique name, you just simply go back to your project, look for that. I think I should have it under tables, project table, columns, and I'm going to get the real name, customer. So you see, this is the real name here, PTA underscore customer. All right, so I'll take that back here, and I'll just put that in here. All right, I'll put that in here, PTA underscore customer. So you see that, and I'll say get the value. All right, get value. All right, now so what I've done now is to return those elements. I will now write a function to say if this particular customer contains value, something should happen. If it does not contain value, something should happen. So hide the project update tab if there's no value. Show the project update tab if there is value. Cool. So let's write that function. So I'll say if project customer, you follow me, is say null, good, then what should happen if it is null? All right, and then if it is not null, what should then happen in this case? So let's do so we'll write the if true condition here, else condition will come in here. So I'll do else, then the else function also will come in here in this case. Okay, all right, good. So for the true side, let's write the simple function. First thing you want to do is we're trying to get a tab, right? We want to work on the tab. So we get the form context in, and we say in this case, look at the UI, and what we want you to look at on the UI is the tabs. See the tabs. Then on the tab, then get this particular tab. So how do we get to? We need to bring in the tab unique name. So we go back here. I think on our form, where's the form? Project form. I'll go to the project form, and I would open up the project form. Let's edit the project form so that we can get the tab name, and we'll pass that tab name there. Are you seeing the idea now? So you see that in getting the tab name, the tab is on a different project table entirely. So you see how one or two tables are already coming in play, different from what we do on business rule, right? In this case, so good. Project update, see, this is the tab, and then this is the tab name. So I'm just going to copy this tab name, all right? And then I'll go back to my code, and I'll pass that tab name directly in here. See, project update. And I'm going to say, if this is null, yeah, then set the visibility to be false. That makes sense. Set visible to be what? False. Good. And end that. All right. And then let me just return. So return is just giving us the result. So you see that? Let's clean this up. Let's clean this up a bit. Cool. So you see what we've done here? We've declared a variable for the form. All right. On the form, we've declared a variable also for the specific entity we're looking for, and then we wrote a condition to say if that entity here is not, go to this form, look at the tab, check this particular tab, set it to false. Can we see that? Set it to what? Set that tab to false. In this case, that's what we've done here. All right, good. Now with that done, okay, fantastic. Now then the next thing is we'll now say what if that's for false. If it is now true, on the true side in the else statement, you just bring in the same element. I'll copy that, I'll paste on the true side, and then I'll just I'll set this to what? To true. Yeah, good. So what have we done here? If project customer field is null, then set this tab to be false. That means the tab will not show. Visibility will be false, it will not show. Else set it to what? To true. That's exactly what we've written in this context, all right, in this case. So we'll go now and then update this function on. Now don't forget that this function will not run yet. So for these functions to run, we need to pass this method on our event. We need to pass this on our event, all right, in this case. So when you go to the first event on your onload, if you go to your onload, so on the onload, we'll pass that particular element there. So we'll do contoso so for that to work, we need to pass that element up there. Okay, so let's do this. So we'll bring in the script here. So I'm just going to copy all of these elements. We'll copy that element. All right, I'm going to paste it here. All right, and then we'll do dot, so underscore, and then we'll pick the undo customer settings, yeah, and then we'll pass the execution context, and then we'll close that. So this particular item we've passed in here right now, we'll just copy it and we'll repeat it on the onChange. So whether what you've done is on the onload or on the onChange, is going to just run the API. So you can have anything, you can have all your API activities written inside here, as the case may be. All right, you can have all of them written here as the case may be. All right, good. Now with that done, let's just save, and then let's go and see what we have done. So I'm just going to save all. All right, once you're done saving, go back to your Power Platform project, everybody, and then you just update your web resource. That's what you need to do. So if you go to the web resource, just update the web resource, loading the script again. So you click on the script, and then you will see that all your information are there. Just choose the script again. That's all. Choose the script again, open the script, save, and publish, and then we'll go test the system. Publish. All right, beautiful. Now it has fully succeeded. Now let's go into the application and let's see what we've done. Go into the application, everybody. So this is our application, right? Now if you notice something fantastic, it already works. Notice that customer field is currently empty. Project update tab is not appearing. Now let's pass in the customer here. Watch this. Immediately I pick the customer. Can you see the project tab shows up? If I remove the customer, the project tab goes off. If I add the customer back again, the project tab shows. Can you see that? Exactly the function we wrote. The function says, if the project customer is null, set what project update tab to be visibility to be false, else it should be true. Can you see that now? So we've been able to what? And don't forget what I said, that this is a table on its own, project update table. You can see it right here. This is it. Project update is a table, project is a table, and customer itself is a field looking up into another table called account. Customer is looking into another table called account, as the case may be. Now you are able to see that, see, looking up into another table, and the table is looking up his account. So you are seeing that 3 different tables, and we're able to write a very simple function to be able to perform an activity on those tables in our application here. Can you see that? This is one, this is another one, and then you can go on and write different functions to address different methods, different things, right? So I can write as many functions as possible here. I can code as many things with this JavaScript and effect changes on the form. All right, I hope this has been very helpful to somebody who is looking to use scripting to modify the system. Notice how I brought in those names. These are unique names on each of the application, and you see how we're able to connect them together. All right, we're going to be having videos coming up again to show us how you can probably build a full-fledged project with TypeScript, JavaScript, deploy, and then instead of having to upload like we're doing currently, currently we have to go back here in our project because it's a direct script and we have to bring in the script. What about how can I push it directly from my local code instance, using push origin and then just push to Power Platform? Can I do that and all of that? So we'll look into some of that in subsequent tutorials and see how we can even write plugins for systems like this using C#ASP.NET and all of that. Okay, so keep watching tutorials on this channel, subscribe to us on this channel and all of that. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. See you next time.
Whew. Some work we just finished doing there. I believe that we've all learned something, right? So you've seen what we've done from how namespaces are being declared to how you create your event handlers, how you pass in your functions to the handlers, and how you bring in your event libraries, right, on your model-driven application form, your Dataverse form, really, in this case. Straightforward, right? I'm even if you have no JavaScript experience like that, you would see that from that method we've looked at, you could replicate those methods, okay, and then get central codes from available libraries online, and then just start typing and writing your things like that, and you would enjoy yourself doing that. Okay, so just keep learning, keep doing that. If you like this video and then you've learned something, please do like the video, do share the video, and then subscribe to this channel for more tutorials. All right, I'll see you again next time in the next tutorial. Cheers, everyone.